like buying businesses. Being an entrepreneur since 2014, if I was to start over today, I would keep working a job, save enough money, and I would start off by buying a business. So a lot of people, their mindset is, I gotta be in profit day one. And now they doing high risk plays. And when I say high risk plays, it's an over 50% chance you're gonna lose all of your money. So I 100% encourage you, like whatever you do. I don't care if you're in the military, I don't care if you're in corporate America, I don't care if you're an investor or an entrepreneur, all of the above, some of the above. Whatever you doing, just play it to win. There are a lot of different ways to get rich. What I want to talk to you guys about in this episode, the 2 additional ways that I'm interested in. Now, before we get into this, I want you to understand that wealth is going to be created through concentration. So all I really do is own and operate a media company. Not saying that you got to own and operate a media company, but all you really got to do is whatever industry you're in now, master it and consistently grow and vertically integrate in that business. However, wealth is maintained through diversification. If you're already in a field that you enjoy, what I'm telling you in this episode is this is what you do once you master that field, and now you want to start structuring your retirement and have a little diversification just in case, you know, the market changes or whatever may happen. For anybody that is not into business, you ain't doing nothing, you ain't got no motion, first and foremost, you guys know you need to join my mentorship program. It's called GIMM, G-I-M-M, which stands for the Get in Motion, as I help adjust my co-host here. GIMM, G-I-M-M, Get in Motion Mentorship Program. So if you guys want details on that, you guys know you can connect with me at JT Automations on YouTube, JT Hustles with a Z on Instagram. Make sure you only talking to verified pages with the blue check mark. It's a lot of scam pages out there. I don't want you to be scammed by any of them. But if you are somebody out there that you're open to new ideas, maybe the concept that we're going to focus on today out of the 2 will resonate with you. So I like commercial real estate and I like buying business, but we're going to focus on one, buying businesses. I recently acquired my very first business in what I later learned was an asset sale. So Cousin JT made a lot of mistakes and I made a lot of mistakes. So you don't got to make these mistakes. What I did was I went to flippa.com. That's FLIPPA.com. And I went and researched businesses to buy. By some bright idea, I thought it was a fantastic idea to buy a online Bible or spiritual mentorship business. That's what it was advertised as. That's what I ended up purchasing, right? So an online spiritual advisor, 24/7. The whole sales proposition was, what if you had the ability to be able to get spiritual advice anytime, day, night, 24/7, right? I bought it as an asset sale. Let me tell you guys the difference, right? Well, before I even tell you the difference, why I like buying businesses. Being an entrepreneur since 2014, talking about entrepreneurship since 2017, if I was to start over today, I would keep working a job, save enough money, and I would start off by buying a business. You guys always hear the data. Most businesses go out of business, a lot of different reasons why. Number one reason being they fail to get their customer acquisition costs above the lifetime value of the customer. What does that mean? That means that most businesses are going to spend so much time, so much money, and other resources trying to get people to buy their thing, and then they're not going to make enough money off of that person to justify it. If you were to buy a business, what you really buying is the profits. You really buying the profitability of it. So like, let's say, for example, I started my first business with, let's say, roughly $5,000. It's been a little minute. I think I put like maybe $3,500 into my first cargo van. And the other $1,500 was pretty much just like operating capital for me to float for a little while. Now, this was, again, a decade plus ago, $5,000. Now, could you find businesses on like Biz Buy Sell or Flippa for that low? I would say you probably could, but they're going to be asset sales. Asset sales. And again, I'm going to talk to you about what's the difference between an asset sale and a stock sale, right? But when I started my business, I had to go get customers, and then I had to figure out everything on my own. And ultimately, for those of y'all that don't know my story, I ended up broken homeless, sleeping on the side of Interstate 95 back in 2017. Now, by the grace of God, 2 years later, I made my first $1 million, and everything been going pretty well ever since. So that being said, I do want you guys to understand that, yes, you can start your own business and become successful, but I would challenge you to think about at a bare minimum, think about buying your own business. All right, buying your own business to begin with. So I'm doing a lot of talk about buying businesses versus starting a business. You guys hearing me say asset versus stock sale. So what's an asset sale? Let's use McDonald's as an example because I believe a lot of people have heard of McDonald's. They know what that is. What if you could go to McDonald's and say, hey, look, I don't want the McDonald's name, the brand, any of that. I just want the infrastructure. I want the building. I want the fryers. I want all the equipment, but not the brand. I guess that's the simplest way to do it. So I'm going to buy all of McDonald's equipment and I'm going to turn it into JT's, right? But I don't get any of the brand recognition, any of that as well. So I'm not buying a business. I'm buying the assets of a business and I'm going to plug them into my new or existing business. That's an asset sale. Asset sales are usually, and I guess it depends on what you're looking for, but in my experience, asset sales are usually cheaper than stock sales. When you go buy a business on a stock sale, you buying everything. Imagine if you could go in McDonald's and say, I want everything. I want to be able to call myself McDonald's. I want everything about this I want to own, right? Now, how do you buy businesses? Because somebody might say, look, that sounds good, but I don't got no money to buy no business, JT. Well, the SBA, Small Business Association, will finance up to like 90% of the purchase price. So up to like 90% of the purchase price of a business, right? So here's just my 2 cents on what I'm going to buy. Starting off as a fairly new acquisitions entrepreneur is the term. So I don't want to buy any business from now moving forward that makes less than $1,000 a month. I don't want to buy any business that makes less than $1,000 a month. This is profit, not gross revenue. Not we make 1,000, we put $50 a month in our pocket. So I don't want to buy any business that doesn't make at least $1,000 a month in profit after everything, right? I also don't want to buy a business above 2x sales multiple. So sales multiple is this. We look at the profitability of the business. Let's use this $1,000 example again, right? So 12 months, a year, it make $12,000. 2 years, 24,000. So I would buy a business that's doing $1,000 a month in profit. I don't care if they're doing $1 million in gross. I'm buying a business based off of the profitability. I would buy that business for no more than $24,000 today if it's making $1,000 a month in profit. Now, of course, if I can get it for less, I'll get it for less. But I'm not going to pay more than a 2x multiple for that business. Typically, everybody comes up with their own formula, but typically if the business is worth less than $5 million, you ain't really want to pay no crazy high multiple, right? Now, of course, people will tell you if it's a software company, if it's this, is that, you could sell it for more. And it's possible, but industry standard is if it's sub $5 million, we not paying no 20, no 10, right? All of these high multiples that you hearing people say, those businesses got to be at least grossing 5 million plus. Some people even say they want them to net 5 million plus if they gonna buy it for that much, right? So I'm not buying nothing above a 2x sales multiple. I'm also not buying anything outside of my niche, which is media. And I'm not buying anything that I don't have an idea of how I can increase the value. So when you buy in a business, let me tell you the mistake I made now. Don't make this mistake. You are only buying the profitability of that business. The first business I bought an AI company out of India. I bought it before I even knew the difference between an asset and a stock sale. I got it for such a great deal. I bought it just based off of the AI technology that they had. Now we got to completely overhaul everything. It's going to look like the reason that I bought it is may or may not even be used by the time I roll it out, right? That's how much changes that we've been going through with redoing this business, right? So my 2 cents, do your own due diligence on it as well. You ain't got to take my word for it. I will buy a stock business first. So that's a business that already has a profit, already got a brand, it's already making money, right? Day one, you making money. But keep in mind, don't buy any business that is not making a profit. You set your profitability. Me, because I'm new, I'm intentionally starting small. So I'm looking at small businesses that do $1,000 a month, right? My whole thing is this: if I could buy a business that's doing $1,000 a month that doesn't require any of my time, and I can get it for 15 to 24,000, and I got an idea on how we can increase the profitability, I'm cool with that. So a lot of people, their mindset is I gotta be in profit day one. And now they doing high risk plays. And when I say high risk plays, it's an over 50% chance you're gonna lose all of your money. So where I'm at, I'm not really looking to do crazy high risk plays. Nothing wrong if you understand it with investing in more risky assets, but that's just not where I'm at, right? By the grace of God, hey, we passed that level in business. So I would say the wisest thing to do is to buy a business, a stock sale first, and then I would vertically integrate through asset purchases. So let me give you guys a for example, right, version of this. All right. So I am in the process of acquiring a childcare facility, daycare business, whatever you call it in your area, right? I don't really have a vertical integration strategy quite yet, right? So if that's the case, why am I buying it? I'm buying it because it's already profitable. It's turning $20,000 a month profit right now. So day one, I increase my net worth by 20K a month. 20K times 12 is what, 240,000, basically $250,000, just shy of that, but basically $250,000 a year on day one by acquiring this business. Right now, the way that I'm acquiring it, understand this: a lot of these businesses are in the hands of baby boomers, and while other people might say, well, you got to cash them out hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, like we said, the SBA does do loans, but owner financing is the norm. So a lot of these baby boomers, not knocking them, a lot of these baby boomers really, they just didn't have an idea of how the world was going to change. So I'm not even knocking them. I'm trying to be, as respectful as possible, but they had no idea. They didn't have a crystal ball or anything to see how fast the world was going to change. A lot of them not prepared for retirement, financially speaking. Understand this: the person that I'm buying the business from, they have around $1 million saved up. They make 20K a month. Do you know this owner still isn't comfortable retiring, right? They just don't feel like they're going to be comfortable in retirement, because if they sell the business, yes, they can sell it for a multiple, but nobody is coming to drop a ton of cash on that business. Why? I'm from the South. It's from a little country town in South Carolina. You've never heard of it, so it doesn't matter if I name it or not, right? But little country town, middle of nowhere, South Carolina. Nobody with millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars is going to invest there for a couple of reasons. Like, it's not a great place to live. Not saying it's a violent place, it's just nothing there, right? Secondly, there's no systems in place that allow the business to run without the owner operator. Typically, businesses are worth nothing if they can't work without you. That's a rule of thumb. If anybody is building a business to sell, you guys know I always tell you, always build a business as if you were going to sell it, even if you plan on never selling it. Reason why you build a business to sell is because that means that the business can operate without you, so that way you can enjoy your life and take a vacation and do whatever it is that you want to do other than work 24/7, right? So make sure that you build in businesses that are like that, right? And also focus on vertical integration, which we might elaborate on more if we need to as well. So this person, they're making 20K a month, but they're doing all of the work. That's going to eliminate all of these big high-end buyers that could cash you out. They not going to cash you out at a high multiple and then got to figure out who's going to replace you. I'm not going to spend that much money to get a job, right? You get a job for free. So nobody's going to spend that much money for a job. So a lot of these baby boomers, and if you catching on, I'm telling you guys who you could target as potential partners or to acquire their business. They haven't built their business in a way where the business could work without them. All right. Another example, I know somebody else, they have an accounting business and they say that their family, that is, the business has been around for 100 years. So dad was an accountant before son was born. And then when son was born, son was helping dad do taxes ever since he could remember. Now son is 70 something years old, right? So dad had him in his 30s. He was the last child, I think last of like 3 or 4 kids. So he was the baby. The parents had him in his 30s, right? Now he in his 70s. So his family business of accounting is a 100-year-old accounting service, and that business still can't run without him, even though dad started it, way back in the day. All right. That's another business. That's a 6-figure business. It's super profitable. The vast majority of sophisticated buyers, like the big money people, they're not going to touch it. Not going to touch it at all. Right? Not going to touch it at all. Not going to spend no bunch of money and then get a job. So what am I going to do? I am going to bring somebody in to learn from this person. So right now, the timeline that we're working on, and it's probably going to get pushed back just because of some personal things that are happening on the seller side. But the timeline was October. By October, I was going to have the current owner operator transition out of the business, and then my team would be fully in charge of it. I'm not going there. Well, I will go check on the business, but I'm not going to be in there like cooking food, changing diapers, right? So I'm strictly just purchasing it and then gonna be an absentee owner is what the term is called. So that being said, I am going to put somebody in place. They're going to learn and create a system under my guidance from now until at least October, maybe longer, depending on the personal situation that's going on there now, right? And now once we have a system, now systems run businesses. Understand this. Systems run businesses, or they should, right? If not, you end up with businesses that are great opportunities to buy, like the ones we're discussing now. So if I have a system on how to run a daycare center and it works in South Carolina, it works in North Carolina, it works in Alabama, Mississippi, New York, Africa, right? Maybe there's some nuances in the laws, but we'll tweak it accordingly to any laws that are unique to that situation. But that being said, I can hire people and I can still make the same money. I don't got to be in there every single day. So what needs to happen, but what sophisticated buyers aren't going to do, is we're going to actually build the system, and then we're going to have the seller 100% owner finance the business to us. You never buy a business that doesn't cash flow enough without you making any changes. Day one, the business is already cash flowing more than enough money to run itself and to 100% owner finance itself. So why would somebody sell a business is a pretty good question here. Why would somebody sell a business that is already making enough money to take care of itself and it can already 100% finance itself, right? Because they want to retire. All right. You've been in the daycare business since the 80s. You've been in the accounting business since whenever, right? 70 some odd years ago. Your dad started it, roughly a little over 100 years ago now. So that being said, I want you guys to understand that it is a great opportunity. There are men and women out here that they want to retire. All right, they just tired, but they might have some fears. They might have some reservations. So what we're going to do is I'm going to acquire these businesses. We're going to develop systems. The owner is going to 100% owner finance them to me. And out of the existing profits, they're going to get a paycheck every month for the rest of their life to the day that they die. Right? What's the alternative? They can work till they drop dead at the job. And some people, they might be cool with that, right? If you run into somebody that says, I want to work till I drop dead on the job, that's not your client, but that's cool, right? So targeting these businesses that have a need to replace ownership. This person is going to make 6 figures a year the rest of their life, but I'm going to take over the business. And I'm not talking to them about how many trillions or billions of dollars I'm going to buy it from, because I'm not. I'm going to pay you out of the cash flow you're already making. We're going to have contracts in place. We're going to use attorneys. It's not a wink, wink type deal, right? So I'll pay for all of that. Attorneys will write it up. Everything will be legit. You'll be protected. Because a lot of these people, especially we're talking about boomers and older, right? They want to be protected. So you look, this contract protects you. I only control this business. I don't own this business until, depending on what we negotiate, until you pass away, right? Or until you get X amount of money, whichever happens first. So I control the business, right? I make all the decisions. I get all of the money, but I don't own it until you pass away or you get X amount of dollars. That's how they're protected. So if I ever, don't pay them or anything weird, which I have no intention in doing, but understand this, they don't know that, right? I'm buying businesses from people that are literally old enough to be my grandparents. Not knocking them, but it's just real, right? So they may know of me, but they still may not feel comfortable just shaking my hand and saying, okay, I'm going to make a commitment where you're now responsible for my entire retirement. No, if I don't do right by our arranged agreement, you just go back to doing what you was doing before, right? You don't lose anything, all right? But keep in mind, I'm also not buying businesses. I don't have an idea on how I can increase their profitability. Simple example, I'm not saying that this will or will not be one way that we vertically integrate. I'm making decisions behind the scenes with my team that's way smarter than me. But let's say I buy an accounting firm, 100 years in business, already cash flowing 6 figures a year. If I teach people business, and then you start doing business, you start making money, and then you say, well, what about taxes? What about this? What about that? Okay, I also own XYZ accounting firm. It's a 100-year-old business, right? We got licensed CPAs in this state, and they're able to serve you in this capacity, right? If there is a percentage of people, because it's never going to be 100% of the people, right? If there's a percentage of people that like, know, and trust me because I helped them create a successful 5, 6 to 7 figure business, and now they also are willing to use that tax service, have I increased the value of the business? Yes, right? But I'm not making purchasing decisions. I'm also not making financing decisions based off of what I believe I can increase the business to, right? And that's just one example. Let's say you don't have followers, because that's not a prerequisite for running this play. Neither of these businesses are online. That's millions of dollars off the table. Neither of these businesses are online. They were created prior to the internet being the behemoth, the beast that it is right now. So they built the name for themselves, built the brand for themselves in local markets. You've never heard of them because unless you're from the area that they service, you don't know they exist. So it don't matter if these businesses are older than some of us. So if I just take the offline successful business and say, you know what, we need a Google business page. We need a website. We need to start running ads. We need to let people know that because of how technology has advanced, you don't have to be within driving distance of my accounting firm for me to do your accounting services. You don't have to be, somebody that only works in the daytime to use my daycare, right? Because one thing that I want to do to expand the daycare, I want to make it 24/7. There is a major hospital that's like an hour away, which is far in the South, but for people that live up north, an hour commute is not that far, right? So there's a lot of people that commute to work at a major hospital. Well, a lot of these men and women, they got to work, after the traditional childcare hours. So one thing that I want to do is make the childcare facility 24/7. Now, you can't drop your kid off and leave them there for 24 hours, but we can have a day shift, we can have a night shift. That is one thing that the daycare has never done. There's a need. I'm already aware that there is a waiting list. Last time I had the conversation with the owner, there's a waiting list of around 70 kids that need affordable childcare. They qualify for the vouchers. there's just nowhere to put them, because from what I know, right, I'm still learning this business. I'm not trying to pretend to be a childcare expert, right? But for what I know about the business, it's based off of square footage. So if I have a 3,000 square foot facility, I can't put 1,000,000 kids in there. So I gotta only put whatever the state allows me to put in that building. Also, in the night shift as well, they're gonna have certain regulations for the night shift. One that I know is that during the day, they could take a nap on the old school mats that you just put on the floor. Night shift, they can't use those same mats. We're gonna have to invest into some other things that they will sleep on during the night shift. But once we look at the risk versus the reward, how much money I got to spend to be able to do a night shift versus how much money we're going to make, those minor changes, just bringing them online and expanding who we serve, will already increase the profitability of the business. Now, keep in mind, let's use easy math. Let's say that each of them are doing $20,000 a month in profit. As is, offline businesses been around a long time, right? I buy them today. For easy math, let's say that I agree to pay the owner out of the $20,000 that's profit per month, they're going to get 10,000. I'm just going to make that number up. $10,000 a month goes to them, right? I control the business. I'm buying it from them 100% owner finance. Think about it the same way you will buy a car, right? You control the car, so you make the last payment. You control the house if you got a mortgage, so you make the last payment. If you stop paying, they take your house, they take your car. Same thing with the business, right? If you don't have the cash to do it, because I would imagine that most people don't have the cash to do it. Even if you do have the cash to do it, you have a greater ROI if you can leverage a small amount of your money and a whole lot of somebody else's money through owner finances or through a SBA loan, right? But $10,000 a month goes to them. All right, I'm left with 10K. Now they can retire, go lay on the beach, go do whatever. I make these changes. I bring them online. They got a website. They got a Google business page. We're now running ads. We're now serving a wider community of people. Let's say now, instead of 20K a month, in time, not overnight, in time, I'm able to double the business, right? Because I'm a firm believer, if you already killing it and you the best kept secret, what happens when I tell the whole world about you? Right? You can at least double conservatively. So, okay, now I took a business that was already doing 20K a month without me doing anything, and I took it to 40K a month, right? How much am I paying the person? I'm still paying them 10,000 a month. And now I got 30K a month for quote unquote SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, but I can reinvest that money into activities that can grow each of the business respectfully. Now, what is the alternative? Compare that to if you started a business. If I started my own childcare facility today, day one, I'm at $0. I got to go through whatever the state requirements are for the commercial building, or am I going to do it out of my house or my investment property? Like, I got to go through all of those hoops, meet all of those qualifications, and then I got to market and try to get some kids to actually come. So what if I jump through all of those hoops and then I got to find reliable staff, right? Because I still don't want to change diapers all day, right? So I got to do all of this stuff. And, you know, if I'm new to business or new to this industry, what's my likelihood of making mistakes? Above average. So it is incrementally harder for me to start the exact same business where I could go in and I can acquire that business basically for free if they're going to owner finance it 100%. Now, let me give you guys some real sauce here. You're not going to ask one person, or most of you all, not going to ask one person and get yes on the first try, right? So what we do that has increased our odds is we do research prior to asking the question. I don't know if you guys are like my family members. They obsessed over watching First 48, right? I don't know if it's reruns or if they doing new episodes, but they love watching First 48, right? Sometimes I watch it with them, I ain't gonna lie. And the investigator will sometimes say, after somebody is caught up in a lie during the interrogation, they'll say, well, you know, as an investigator, 9 times out of 10, if I'm asking you a question, I already know the answer. So if you lied to me, that makes it even worse. And I would say, in keeping with that analogy, that's how I would approach buying businesses. I would go ahead and try to figure out all of the answers before I even ask the question. Who's the owner of the business? How old is she? Does she run it by herself? Does he run it by himself? Is it an owner operator? Do you think they ever want to retire, or do they want to drop dead doing this? Do they just love it that much? Okay, who's next in line? Do they have children, nieces, nephews, right? Do they have anything like that that is realistically the next person to get this business? And then once we do that due diligence, once I identify this is a great business, this lady wants to retire but can't, or she doesn't want to retire only because she doesn't know she can retire, but if she had a viable way to retire, she could, right? Or she would, right? All right, now it's like, okay, boom. This is potentially a business I should approach. So now that I got that information down, now what's next? What does this person care about? The person that is selling me the daycare center cares more about the daycare center's legacy than about how much money they get every single month. Like I said, this person has roughly $1 million saved up and they make $20K a month in profit right now. So they have their money invested. They say right now they're doing average 10% a year annual return. So their investments are giving them approximately $100,000 roughly dollars a month just passively off their investments of that $1 million, 10% annually. They're getting $100,000 a year off of their investments. They're getting $240,000 a year off of running the daycare center. Right now they're making $340,000 a year, and they got $1 million nest egg that they don't got to touch as well, because this is just the money that their money is making. They're not depreciating $1 million. So $1 million saved up, $340,000 a year recurring coming in. This person is more interested in, I don't want my daycare center to ever close. Put a lot of time, put a lot of work in it. It has sentimental value to me. I don't want to just sell it to somebody that is going to just sell the building for more than what I sold it to them for. I really want to have a legacy in this community. I really want it to be around long after I pass away. That's just what they desire to do. Okay, cool. Whereas other business owners, they may have a financial incentive saying, hey, look, my lifestyle requires that I make X amount of money a month. So if I do owner finance it to you, you still have to pay me a premium of X amount of money a month, which will drastically reduce the profitability that you could take home, which is why we never buy businesses that we don't have a plan on how we can increase their value. Is everybody tracking me? Everybody following what I'm saying? All right, I want you guys to really understand this. Buying businesses is really all I'm looking at moving forward. I have no interest in starting a new business, even respectfully with partnerships. Partnerships are going to have to be like 7-figure plus deals, because there's going to be associated expenses, and then we're going to have to split the profits down the middle, right? So let me share with you all some mistakes I made in buying my first business. I bought my first business from flippa.com, Flippa. Josh, what's good with your brother? I bought my first business at the end of last year, like December. So literally last month as of this recording. But I bought my first business from flippa.com. It was an asset sale, not a stock sale. I bought the infrastructure. The infrastructure, again, it was designed to be an AI app that was like your 24/7 spiritual mentor. So if you had a Bible question, I don't care if it's in the middle of the night or 2 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock lunchtime, you could go in on the app and say whatever your question is, and it will kick out a Bible answer and give you a scripture reference and whatever, right? So it's designed to be a 24/7 spiritual mentor, right? What I liked about the infrastructure is I was like, okay, in financial literacy, what I've seen is that we have by far the highest cost of financial literacy and mentorship. I'm gonna just be honest with you. We have, just as an industry, it's just the most expensive that I've seen so far for financial literacy. I'm gonna show you guys, and my editor will edit it out, but I want you guys to kind of be able to see how much it is. We'll edit out the number and stuff. I also am joined by my Instagram Live family too. So I'm gonna show them right here. Look right here where my finger is. And this is how much mentorship costs me annually. So for anybody that can't see it, that's $50,000 a year. Not $50,000 once in a lifetime. This is $50,000 every single year, right? That's if you paid in full. If you don't pay it in full, they have a financing option. It's 3 payments of $20K. So it's $60,000, right? Now, the reason why I share that with you is because, one, some people are here, your ebook, your course, your mentorship costs X amount of money, and oh man, you overcharging people, and they don't even understand. Like, listen, you don't know what industry you're in. These are basically free, right? All of these numbers, whatever number you heard, if you just knew what the industry charges for somebody that has this resume, right? I'm basically giving it to you for free, right? What's up, family? Brief interruption, but I promise to get you right back into today's action. This recently came to my awareness that I am no longer allowed to teach you everything I know about making money, and that's legally. I have to do that. I always tell you guys, there's so many legit ways to make money. We're not going to do anything illegal, illegitimate, or immoral. So the reason why it's an issue in a nutshell is this. You could be a minor watching this, or you could be an elderly person that has a mental deficiency, and if you learn something here but you misapply it, then that could cause a financial hardship for you, your loved ones, blah, 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 right? I don't make the rules, but I am going to stay compliant and follow them. So here's the solution. Join my absolute free newsletter. We do private meetups every single Thursday. Now, there is going to be a consensus statement that pretty much says, hey, if you come to this private meetup every single Thursday, it's absolutely free to come. You agree that you're not a minor and you're not an elderly that has a mental deficiency. From now on, I will be giving you guys my best advice every single Thursday. And instead of me talking at you, it's going to be an environment where we can talk to each other, right? If that sounds valuable to you, click the link, join the Providence Pro newsletter. I'll see you guys on the inside. Back to today's action. But I digress. The point is that I wanted to create, and I still have a desire to create, more cost-effective mentorship. Nothing wrong with high-end, premium value, high-ticket coaching, right? Nothing at all. So, for example, I spent $30,000 and then I had to go to Cancun, Mexico for the meetup, and I've learned some things about content creation that later made me, 10x what my investment was, right? That's great. What if you don't got $30,000? Oh, well. Now, the person that taught me is worth $100 million. So should this $100 million person teach what they know for free or for $10 or for whatever? It's to each their own, right? You can't make people do anything. But this industry, there are premium value prices for mentorship. So what AI bought, and the purpose of it, again, was to vertically integrate. And let's touch on that. When I say vertical integration, think of it as like an alternative to diversification. So vertical integration is, if I buy the daycare center, what makes money before, during, and after my client pays me? So, okay, I'm not going to buy a school, at least I don't think I will. But let's say fictitiously, if I own a daycare center and then I go buy the school, and when you age out of the daycare center, you go to the school. And then after you age out of the grade school, I own the local college, right? So that's like vertical integration. I know people that they have an ice cream parlor, but then they'll go buy a dairy farm. And that helps reduce their tax liability. That opens them up to a lot of grants that they can get as a farmer. They ain't even really farmers like that, but they making a ton of money doing it nonetheless, right? So vertical integration is, again, just in simplest terms, think about who makes money when your customer buys from you, who makes money off of your customer before you do, who makes money off of your customer after you, right? And then you try to build businesses around that. So I think vertical integration is honestly something that I'm way overdue with. So one of the biggest mistakes that I hope everybody here catches and don't make is like, don't diversify too soon, right? I diversified way too soon, and it really slows you down more than it helps you. So first year, I made $400,000. I bought a house. Nothing wrong with buying a house, but if I would have reinvested that money back into the business, that business could have went from 400 grand X year to probably over $1 million the next year, right? I'm not an ostentatious person, so it's not like I needed 400 grand to survive, right? But boom, I made 400. The first year I made 400 grand. I went and bought a house. Now it worked out. I bought the house for like $267,000 is now worth $389,000. Right? Then the next year came, that was another good year. That might have been a 600,000 year or something like that. Right? I go buy Airbnb. Now, real estate, I do media. You guys know that. Right? So real estate isn't bad, but what I believe I should have done looking back is if I would have took that money and I would have reinvested it back into my media business, one, we would have been over 1 million followers on every platform. Right now, I do own 6 properties, free and clear, no debt, by the grace of God. That's cool, right? Just under, because I'm in the Carolinas and the market is not as expensive as other places. So I'm just under $1 million worth of real estate, free and clear. It wasn't a terrible investment, but I could have been further ahead if I would have vertically integrated before I diversified. Right. And then I started investing in a couple of restaurants, a food trailer. I sold my food trailer that was in Tennessee. A lot of you guys know I had that. Invested in a dumpster rental business in Columbus, Ohio. Right. All of these things sound cool. Let me be real with you. Please, 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 please. Before you start spreading yourself too thin, that's when you start missing out on money and losing money. Man, vertically integrate. Think about, okay, right now I'm making money off of this kind of customer, right? Who makes money, or what does my customer need before they need me, after they need me? Primarily what we do is media and marketing services. So with big companies, small businesses, whatever, right? Matter of fact, I recently had a client that I grandfathered in from last year, and he paid $25,000 up front. That arguably is a lot of money, depending on who you talk to, right? He spent 25 grand. And when I talked to him 2-3 days ago, he said, man, I ain't gonna lie. I want to re-up with you in March. That's when our year is up. I want to re-up with you in March. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I want to talk to you about how it went after March. And I was like, man, is there anything wrong? What's going on? And then after talking in circles for a while, he was like, man, I'm gonna just be real with you. Like, I made so much money off of this investment. I just want to keep it going. And I'm really scared you're going to raise the price if I told you whatever, you know what I mean, I made off of it. So I was like, hey, I'm giving you my word. You're going to pay what you pay, right? As long as you re-up every single year, prices don't go up for you. All right. This gentleman had, and I don't know the exact multiple, but let's say over 20x, right? This person made over 20x their investment, over 20x their investment by tapping in with me, right? So that 25K, you guys that are mathematicians can go in your calculator and do 25,000 times 20. He made at least that much money, right? At least that much money off of a 25K investment. All right. So nothing wrong with premium value coaching, premium value mentorship. But what I will tell you is that one thing that I know that my ideal clients need. So keep in mind, I kick game for free on Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, whatever, right? Just because it helps me build my brand, and it does attract buyers. I'm not gonna lie, it attracts buyers. We make money. But vast majority of people, right, they just benefit. They go out, make an extra 100K, whatever it is they're gonna make off of it. But we really make our money working with businesses, showing them, hey, boom, here's what we've learned over the past since 2017 till now, and building up these brands and etc. Right. Matter of fact, we're in negotiations now. We're about to sell off a lot of our Instagram theme pages. Now, I didn't have any huge Instagram theme pages. They were small, but let's say a small page was reaching between 200 to 400,000 people every single month, right? Well, guess what? If you in that niche and you not reaching 200 to 400,000 people a month, right, you might pay a few $100s to get an Instagram theme page, right? So we're actually selling off all of those assets. I'm just going to keep primarily my personal brand Instagram account, and we going to vertically integrate, right? So again, I'm big on this. If I was starting over today, I would buy a business, and then I would scale that business through buying other businesses that support that business. If I had no idea where to start, if you already have a business that you're passionate about, that you're doing, that you're scaling up, what I would do is I would build that business as fast as I can, or just like, it ain't even about speed unless you working with some deadline, but I would build it up as proficiently as I could, but I would scale it up through vertical integration. right? Do not be JT that as soon as he make enough money to buy a house, he buy another house. And again, real estate not bad, the stock market not bad. I got money in both. But I think what we were not taught, or what I wasn't taught, was that, it was a fear move. I'm gonna be real with you. This wasn't me being a master investor. This was me saying, okay, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Okay, well, just in case this happens, I'm gonna have some real estate to fall back on. Well, when you play scared, right, then you're not gonna do anything massive. You're not gonna do anything major, right? So you gotta play to win, not just playing to lose. And you might hear that saying a lot, but then what does it really mean? What's the difference between playing to win and then playing to not lose? Playing to not lose is as soon as you get some money, you put it somewhere else. You hide it. You try to offset the risk. Okay, I'm going to put all my money over here because one day this ain't going to work. Well, guess what? Just because your mindset is it won't work long term, you going to start self-sabotaging yourself consciously and subconsciously. So guess what? It's not going to work. But if you say, okay, it has to work or it has to work, I'm going all in on this. Hey, cool, boom. So I'm going to even say I don't regret what I did, because I feel like now that puts me in a better position to have the conversations and say, hey, listen, you know what? I did this. I spent my money doing this, and it's not me telling you this based off of theory or what I guesstimate, what I think you should do. I know for a fact if I would have reinvested my money back into my primary business instead of real estate, instead of stocks at this time, not saying that I would have never did it, man, my company would have been at least double the size. My followers will probably be at least 3-4x what they are. But I played the game to not lose instead of playing the game to win. So I 100% encourage you, like whatever you doing. I don't care if you're in the military. I don't care if you're in corporate America. I don't care if you're an investor or an entrepreneur. All of the above, some of the above, right? Whatever you doing, just play it to win. Don't play scared. Don't play to not lose. Understand this. If you play to lose, you're going to lose, right? If you play to not lose, you might not lose, but you also not going to win in the way that you should win, right? So God might have called you to be a $20 million, $50 million person. You end up being $1 million person because ain't nobody in your family ever had $1 million before. So once you got to $1 million, you got so scared, you like, okay, what can I do with this $1 million? I ain't even trying to grow no more. I ain't even trying to reach whatever I could reach, right? Now, this is not a justification or encouragement for you to do something unwise. I would definitely say you know what you know. So for me, social media is not a risk. I mean, everything has an inherent level of risk, but I would say this. So my setup that I'm looking at here is around $8,000. If somebody wanted to get the same exact cameras, mics, mixers, laptops, 8 to 10 grand, depending on if you buying it new or used, or maybe even less than that if you could find good deals whenever. So to me, if I had to spend 10K on getting this equipment over again, it's a no-brainer because I understand how to flip that $10,000 investment into 6 and 7 figures. Whereas somebody else, shout out to DJ Bro Rab, I see him join me in the live chat here on Instagram, and I'm gonna just use you as an example, my brother. You buying some turntables and everything else you need as a DJ, right? To you is probably zero risk at all. Like, hey, I know how to use these. I know how to turn this into money. Whereas for me, if I was to buy them, have no idea. Like, shoot, I'm gonna have to read the instruction manual just to know how to cut the thing on, right? Much less be able to use it and use it in an efficient enough way where I can make money off of it. That being said, you got to find your asymmetric risk. You got to find your asymmetric risk. So what's an asymmetric risk? An asymmetric risk is where do you personally have an opportunity where you can invest the least and make the most? Where can you invest the least and make the most? So legitly, even if I didn't want to spend 10K, I could take my cell phone camera and just start growing content that way as well. Matter of fact, I'm even gonna do that in a series here soon just to show people several ways to make money off your phone, and that's gonna be one of the ways that you can make money off of your phone, right? But you gotta find where your asymmetric risk is. I believe that your asymmetric risk may be different than mine. I believe that God gives different people different purposes. Somebody can just look at numbers and they just get it. Right. They just numerically sound. And that person was called to be a top accountant or something like that. Somebody else, they're really great at identifying patterns. If you're really great at identifying and predicting patterns, you're probably going to be an all-star stock trader. So somebody else, like I used to get in trouble in school for talking too much and being the class clown, excuse me, right? So I'm getting in trouble for talking too much. I just want to make people laugh, right? At the time when I grew up, you getting picked at for, wearing high water pants, right? Bruno Mars was not out. It wasn't cool to wear tight high water pants, but my dad died when I was 11. My mom never made more than $11 an hour. My mom had to raise 5 kids. Then when my grandmother got sick with dementia and Alzheimer's, she moved in with us as well. So my mom never made a lot of money. So like I'm sagging my pants as a kid, not because I'm trying to be a thug or whatever, the older people thought it was if you sagged your pants. It's like, listen, when you take me to school, you dropping me off like a baby deer amongst wolves. And they gonna clown me because my shoes, my high water pants, like, you know what I mean? Kids is mean, right? They don't have no empathy to be like, oh, your mom do only make $11 an hour and it's 5 of y'all, plus she gotta take care of herself, plus your grandma, plus bills at y'all house. So yeah, you legitly ain't no budget for the pants. My older brother is 12 years older than me. I got sisters that's in between us. I can't wear my sister's pants and I can't fit my brother's pants. My baby brother is 7 years younger than me. So ain't no hand-me-downs. You know how some people be like, hey, the hand-me-down, I'm not about to wear my sister clothes. And my older brother is 12 years older than me. So if I'm 10, this is like a 10-year-old wearing a 22-year-old man's pants to school. I'm going to get clowned for that. They don't even going to make a belt tight enough to keep these pants up. So I got to wear my pants. I got to pull them down and sag them. So that way you can't tell that they really look like I'm wearing capris. And then, of course, now the teacher's going to say something. Now my mom going to have a problem with it, right? So to offset me getting picked at in school because of my situation, like I just started, trying to make people laugh. I'm gonna make friends, not because of I got the nice clothes and I got this or that. I don't. So, and I also wasn't very athletic. I was very small in school, right? So just to put it in perspective, I graduated high school at 140 pounds. I'm way bigger now, but I graduated high school at 140 pounds, right? So I'm 17. No, I turned 17 the summer after I graduated. So I graduated at like 16 or something like that. And I'm 140 pounds, like scrawny little kid. And yeah, got on clothes that don't fit because mom ain't got money like that. So to differentiate myself, to make friends, at least I thought I was funny. So I would make jokes and stuff like that, right? Fast forward to today, I get paid to talk, right? So organizations reached out to me and paid me to talk, right? I got colleges on the schedule. I got to go to, I got to do some more talking back and forth and work it out. But with the University of South Carolina, Charleston Southern University, where I'm an alumni, some other colleges that are in other states. But now the same thing that used to get me in trouble as a kid is now creating income streams for me. Right. So now, okay, boom, I can go to colleges and I can get paid X amount of money to go speak on whatever the topic is, right? Different topics, right? So at USC, I'm probably going to talk to the ROTC program there since I'm a veteran. And then at Charleston Southern University, there's a Christian school. So it's probably going to be more of on like faith-based entrepreneurship and stuff like that, right? The reason why I go down this rabbit hole, though, is my asymmetric risk is my ability to communicate. Some of you all might have the same or greater asymmetric risk as me, yet society made you feel like that wasn't worth anything. My mom didn't mean any harm by it when she said it, but as a kid, we was not good kids, right? I got put out in high school too. You guys know that. Like every time we in trouble, we did something dumb. Me, my baby brother, my sisters, my older brother before he went off to the army. It was always, well, I thought this, right? You know what I mean? Kids always trying to avoid a whipping. So we gonna make up something on the spot. Usually it ain't gonna work anyway. But so my mom started saying, well, who pays you to think, right? Well, fast forward, if I would have kept that mindset of like, nobody pays me to think, not that she meant it at the time as a universal truth. This was a frustrated lady raising a bunch of bad kids with basically no money. So out of frustration, she said what she said. But if I would have adopted that, like a lot of people do in their youth and are traumatized by it, then I wouldn't have had the audacity to cut the camera on, cut the microphone on, and start talking. But now I make millions of dollars based off of what I think. So what I think helps determine what offers we create and sell in our business. What I think forms my speeches. So when I go to organizations and I'm paid to speak, that forms that as well. So like literally, and I would dare say this, everybody gets paid based off of what they think. Everybody gets paid based off of what they think. Now, your self-perception of yourself will determine how much you get paid. If you perceive yourself to be the person that goes get the carts out of Walmart parking lot and bring them back in, that's cool. You're going to get paid based off of being that person that you believe that's who you are. Now, if I was to go to Mr. Abdul Patel, he perceives himself as the person that owns the Walmart building. He has a triple net lease with them and he makes millions of dollars, right? Do you understand that? Both of these individuals, the gentleman that go grabs the carts and puts them on the inside, right? As well as Mr. Patel, right? And that's just one of the gentlemen that I know of, right? That's big in commercial real estate. He owns Food Lions the same way. He owns Walmarts the same way. He owns a hospital the same way, some luxury apartments the same way. He perceives himself to be something different. Now, if you were to see him, you would probably say he's a dentist because by trade, that is what he is, a dentist, right? But he also owns the dentist office that he works out of, as well as all of these other businesses as well, right? So understand this, and I want to end with this. You will always be paid 100% based off of what you think of you. If you think that you are inadequate and therefore you got two options, right? If you think that you're inadequate, you can either decide to go meet whatever criteria is set for you to become adequate, or you can settle and say somebody like me has to earn X amount of money. Somebody like me has to do this, has to do that, right? And with love, like I appreciate the fact that some people believe they can't compete. That's less competition for me. That's less people I got to worry about. There's people I know for a fact, I was not the funniest person in my high school, right? Now, if you would have asked me back then, I would have definitely said I was. But in hindsight, I was not the funniest person in my graduating class. I was top 5 for sure, but I wasn't the funniest, right? And even now, doing the content that I do now, it's not like comedic, it's more like entrepreneurial, educational. But anybody that knows me in person, we like to laugh, we like to have fun. We still gonna do business though, but we gonna have fun while we do business. So fast forward, what do you think of yourself? Right? And the dope thing about it is you can always change your mind. So if you feel right now, I'm the person that don't got a job, so I can't make no money, that's true. Whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. If you're not spiritual and don't understand that reference, you understand that whatever you believe release neurons in your bloodstream to manifest whatever it is that you thought, right? So if you say I'm inadequate, neurons are going to get released. And those of us that are spiritual understand that the power of your tongue manifested it, right? But the same thing is true as well, right? Now, saying something and believing something is different. So what I'm talking about is you got to believe it. Because you could say anything, right? I could say I'm 25 feet tall. That don't give me a growth spurt. I'm not telling you to say anything. I'm telling you to believe. Now, what changes your beliefs? Exposure and experience. What changes your belief? Exposure and experience, right? So you have to put yourself in what could be uncomfortable environments so that way you can expose yourself to better, so that way you can see, oh, you know what, I can have this, right? Giving yourself experiences where you can say, you know what, this was so worth the money. I'm glad I did it in hindsight. One little quirk about me that I want you guys to know, right? Because it may help somebody. Anytime I travel, I intentionally try to go stay in the nicest Airbnb, villa, worst case scenario, hotel room that is available wherever I'm going. Right? Intentionally. When I go filter, I filter by things that are $800 a night or higher, and I filter by things that have a pool, because typically in-ground swimming pools are not put in low-income areas because the return on investment isn't there. So if there's an in-ground swimming pool and if it's at least $800 a night, that is like, I'm not even looking at anything that's less than that, right? And of course, they got to have Wi-Fi because of the kind of entrepreneur I am, right? But those are the filters that I look at, right? Why? Because I want to expose myself to what does a premium experience feel like every time I go somewhere, right? Every time I go somewhere, all right? If I'm going to stay in a hotel, I want to stay in the Four Seasons, right? I don't want to go to the Red Roof Inn. I don't want to go to Motel 6. You ain't going to talk to me about how much money you save going here and there. Cool, right? I'm called for a higher purpose, and I need to be in the Four Seasons because the people that's in the Four Seasons, because the mindset, because the atmosphere, right? If I'm at the Red Roof Inn or the Motel 6, I'm worried if there's a serial killer next door. If I'm in the Four Seasons, I'm in the elevator, right, with people that are wearing $50,000 watch. We having conversations about politics and stocks. Last time I stayed in a hotel, because I usually don't want to stay in a hotel, but if I have to, I will. It was a guy, he was putting me on. He was like, hey, what you think about such and such? And I was like, I'm going to be real with you. I don't even know what that is. And he was like, man, oh yeah, this is this manufacturer. They behind this company, that company, whatever, right? This is not investment advice. So that's why I'm intentionally wording it how I'm wording it. Like, but he's saying, hey, look, man, it's the company that's behind this and that. Hey, when you get a chance, man, check it out. Like, do you invest in stocks? Yeah, I invest in stocks. And I let him know I got the Wall Street Journal. He was, oh, you got the Wall Street Journal, where the Wall Street Journal said this, and this about it. Matter of fact, boom, I pull out my phone, I open up the app, boom, he showed it to me. That was an opportunity. Not saying that people don't know about those opportunities at the Motel 6, at the Red Roof Inn, at the Prostitute Palace, or wherever you staying at, right? Because it's $20 a night. But I just want to be in an environment where people think on a higher level. So being exposed to people. I used to think that getting a six-figure car was the waste of money until I went and I saw how these guys that got these Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces made millions of dollars off the car without renting. I ain't gonna lie, hey, look, I'm gonna run it up. I don't really care about, back when I was in the military and when I got out of the military in college, man, I had two of the same car. I had two Camaros. I had a black one and a white one, and I had a Tahoe. Now, what college student with no job need three vehicles? I don't know. But I was really into it then. So I'm a college student. I got a black Camaro, I got a white Camaro, and I got a Tahoe. And I was really into like different kind of vehicles. But now fast forward, I was kind of like, I had a Benz, I had a BMW. I had a lot of different cars back in the day. Right now, just something reliable, something low key, get me from point A to point B. I don't really care. But it took me being in a circle, right? I'm at somebody's $5 million house and they telling me how they able to pay for this house because of the car that they drive and they don't rent it out. Like, hey, do you know that there's certain communities that you can join, but the prerequisite, just like if you join a fraternity or sorority or any other membership organization, they might have a prerequisite for you to join, right? Some communities, this the prerequisite for you to be in the room. You gotta have this kind of vehicle. Car clubs, basically, but I think is as far as car clubs goes, that's like oversimplifying it. But being in the room with people that are commercial real estate investors, being in the room with people that buy businesses, being in the room with people that are killing it in franchises, being in the room with people that are killing it with insurance agencies and all of these other different ways to make money, and you being exposed to it, and now you getting opportunities to partner with them and do this and do that, that all because of the car that you own. You don't even got to drive the joint every day. Just because you own this car now gave you access to these people that otherwise the average person has no idea. They look at it and say, that's a waste of money. They look at it and say, man, that's a target on your back. And it could be if you don't know what you're doing. But I'm around people that's like, you know what? I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. Not because I care how fast it goes. I'm probably not going to be racing it. I ain't going to say probably. I'm not going to be racing it. I'm telling you guys right now, like, I'm buying a Lamborghini because of the doors that it unlocks, right? And I've seen it firsthand in the nearby communities, how there's access, not because I call it classism. Somebody correct me if that's the incorrect term, but now is prejudices not based off of your gender, not based off of the color of your skin. It's simply based off of what economic class you're in, right? So there's certain opportunities. I told you guys in the past, right? There's certain opportunities I got. They said, hey, Jay, what you doing tomorrow, right? This was like a random Wednesday. Probably gonna be working, regular work day, nothing crazy. Hey, is it any way you could take off? I mean, if I had to, yeah. Okay, there's 1,500 storage units. You could buy in at 50,000. You can like really max it out at 250,000. What I would suggest is don't come max it out at 250,000 and put all your money into like one. Like split up your money across several, or if you brand new, just bring 50,000 and then just get X amount of storage units for that. Those are opportunities that, one, it doesn't even make sense for most people to get that call. But how many people have 50,000 in a 401k, have 50,000 worth of credit via credit cards they can access? And now you can get all or part of a self-sustaining business that's running without you in storage containers, and you can flip it and grow it and make money over time, right? So, and this is me not justifying the system that exists. This is me just being real, being transparent, like just being honest with you. I don't believe that there's an Illuminati, but I do believe that there is an organization. They don't kill people, but there is an organization of elite people that only certain people get access to. And you have to already be a certain caliber of person just to get invited through the door. So you got to already be a certain caliber of person to get invited in the door. So I know that's a little bit of outside of the scope of this conversation, but it just kind of flowed. So anybody that truly wants to start a business, don't know where to start, stock buy a business, and then asset buy a business to vertically integrate and scale up. I would diversify once you are either where you're trying to go in your primary business, or once you're thinking about selling or retiring, then focus on diversification. Not saying go for broke. Of course, be wise by it. You guys know my motto is if you living above half of your take-home income, you already living above your means. So I'm really big on not living above half my take-home income at any point in time, right? If you guys need to reach out to me, you can always text me at 833-221-9994 or 202-601-9347. Both of those are my business lines. I'll probably text you back for one or both of those lines if you were to text me. Appreciate you guys' attention and tuning in to episode 24 of the Income Autopilot Podcast.